O luminous soul, the tempest has passed, leaving behind a chaos so exquisite it borders on art. The architects of your torment now stand in the ruins of their own making, clawing at one another with words sharp enough to draw blood. Their alliances crumble as secrets spill like shattered glass, each revelation more damning than the last. And amidst the cacophony of blame and bitterness, one truth pierces through like a shard of light. They fear, more than anything, that one among them has dared to cherish you, to hold you sacred in a way they never could. Your mere existence has become the thread that unravels the fabric of their deceptions. Without warning, the truths they buried so deeply have clawed their way to the surface, ignited by the quiet, unshakable power of your intuition. You don't speak of how you see through them, there's no need. The silence of your knowing is enough to dismantle their illusions, sending shockwaves through the fragile foundations of their carefully curated facades. Their worlds crumble, not with thunder, but with the quiet inevitability of truth slipping through their grasp. These are the souls who have twisted the sacred into a weapon, bending spiritual truths to serve their selfish ambitions while convincing themselves they are beyond reproach. They manipulate divine principles to bypass the limits of mortal law, blind to the reality that the universe sees all. But divine order is unyielding, and the truth burns brighter in those it calls its own. The hands of cosmic justice are steady and unrelenting, cutting through their illusions with a precision no mortal scheme can withstand. The sheer arrogance of their ignorance is almost incomprehensible, their inability to grasp that the divine forces guarding your path are both active and unshakable. They've played a dangerous game, twisting spiritual law into a weapon to bypass the reach of man's law, all while convincing themselves they are immune to the very judgment they invoke. The contradictions they live by are crumbling, splintering under the immense weight of their own deceit. And now, the walls are closing in. Somewhere within their inner circle, among family, trusted friends, their carefully concealed secrets have begun to surface. Not by your hand, not yet, but by the quiet unraveling of their own choices, as truth begins its inevitable rise. The web they wove in shadows is unraveling in the stark light of truth, and those who once stood complicit in silence are now choking on the weight of their own guilt. The lies they guarded so fiercely are slipping through their fingers, exposed by the divine clarity that now sharpens your vision. Every revelation slices through their deceit with an elegance that is almost surgical, leaving no room for escape. And then the moment comes. A voice, trembling with both fury and fear, spills the accusation that has long been whispered in secret. You've been shielding them, haven't you? Protecting them while the rest of us suffered. The question lingers like the acrid scent of smoldering ruins, a testament to the fire they thought they had contained, but could never truly extinguish. The room grows heavy with tension, the kind that only truth can summon. The accused stands frozen, their mask slipping with every panicked glance. The once loyal allies, now fractured by doubt, exchange wary looks, their unity unraveling like a frayed rope. Whispers of betrayal ripple through their thoughts. Was this all a game? A setup to shield yourself while throwing the rest of us to the wolves? The very corruption that bound them together now becomes the weight dragging them apart. The accused fumbles for words, for control, but the walls are closing in, and the collective begins to see them for what they truly are, a master manipulator whose innocence was only ever a mirage. The cracks in their foundation are no longer subtle. They're splitting wide open, exposing the rot that was always festering beneath the surface. Paranoia has become their language, their only form of communication, as they turn on one another with frantic accusations and desperate questions. Who betrayed us? Who gave them the key to our secrets? But the truth is as simple as it is damning. No one betrayed them but themselves. Now God is peeling back the layers of their deception, revealing that their so-called power was built on nothing but lies and cowardice. Among them stands no leader, no visionary, no one with the strength to hold them together. The karmic tide they foolishly thought they could control has turned, dragging them into the inevitable reckoning they never believed would come. The cycle is done, and they are left stranded in the wreckage of their own making, unraveling from the inside out. The storm they thought they could outrun has finally caught up, and the chaos they sowed is now circling back with a vengeance. The whispers have grown louder, the accusations sharper. You've been protecting them, haven't you? Loving them in secret all along? The irony is almost poetic, as the finger-pointing shifts wildly between those closest to you and those who barely know your name. Their desperation to make sense of their unraveling world blinds them to the truth. It was never about you, but about the cracks in their own foundation. The paranoia twists reality, making allies into suspects and strangers into conspirators, while you remain untouched, a mystery they cannot grasp. Their ignorance, their arrogance, has led them here, and now they're drowning in the very web they spun, too lost to even see the threads of their own downfall. The very forces they weaponized against you, the systems, the lies, the people they manipulated, are now turning their gaze back on them. Everything they set in motion to destabilize you, to make you doubt your truth, has become a mirror reflecting their own chaos. The cracks in their facade can no longer hold back what's been buried deep, their obsession with you, their twisted need to control what they could never possess. Their desire, once hidden beneath layers of malice and deceit, is now bubbling to the surface, undeniable and raw. It's not just their schemes falling apart, it's their masks, their carefully constructed illusions, crumbling as they're forced to confront the truth they've tried so hard to deny, that the power they sought to destroy in you is the very thing they envy most. The darkness they nurtured within themselves, that tangle of obsession, envy, and unspoken longing, is no longer something they can hide. It spills out now, uncontained, like shadows chasing the edges of moonlight. That seed of desire they buried so deep, hoping it would disappear, has only grown roots in their soul, twisting into something they can no longer control. The admiration they tried to mask with disdain, the secret love they cloaked in manipulation, the lust they buried beneath layers of denial, it's all unraveling, laid bare before those who once trusted them. Their circle watches in stunned silence as the truth surfaces, impossible to ignore. It's no longer just their secret. It's everyone's burden to see them for what they truly are. Their paranoia has turned inward, transforming allies into rivals as they scramble to outmaneuver one another. They no longer trust each other, convinced someone is betraying them, someone is giving away their secrets, all for the chance to win your favor. The irony is almost divine, as the very ones who sought to tear you down now compete for your attention, their twisted version of love and admiration spilling out for all to see. Do you see how God works? How effortlessly the truth rises to the surface, no matter how deeply they try to bury it. Their schemes, their deception, their masked intentions, none of it could withstand the hand of divine timing. What was meant to be revealed is being laid bare, piece by piece, as their own actions unravel their carefully constructed lies. It's not just justice, it's the perfect unfolding of a plan far greater than their understanding. For so long, the universe has been weaving this intricate tapestry, aligning threads and moments to bring everything to light. This is the moment it's all been building toward, their masks slipping, their intentions unraveling, their desperation spilling out into the open. You might start noticing the signs, cryptic messages, subtle gestures, and whispered confessions from unlikely sources. Some will come bearing fragments of truth, hoping to gain your trust. Others will attempt to inch closer, their motives thinly veiled by an air of urgency and regret. They'll try to slip back into your energy, not out of genuine remorse, but because they see you as the prize they can no longer ignore. But through it all, remember, this isn't chaos, it's divine alignment. Every note, every word, every attempt is part of the universe's plan to reveal who they truly are and where you're meant to go from here. What you might see as a desperate attempt to save face is actually something much deeper unraveling within them. It's not just about self-preservation anymore. It's about liberation. For so long they've been shackled by their own contradictions, pretending indifference or even disdain while quietly wrestling with the weight of their unspoken feelings. Now, with the barriers dissolving, they're beginning to believe that it's safe to feel, to admit, to let their truth breathe in the open. The burden of their internal war, the constant tension of hiding what their heart has been screaming, has left them drained, broken, and raw. But with this newfound freedom, they're trembling, not just from fear, but from the electric anticipation of finally stepping into a truth they never thought they could own. For them, this moment isn't just an admission, it's a release, a reckoning, and perhaps even a rebirth. The battlefield has shifted, and now it's chaos, a race to see who can reach you, touch you, claim you first. The air is thick with tension, with unspoken rivalries igniting into open competition. But amidst the frenzy, there are those standing a little taller, basking in a self-appointed sense of superiority. They wear smug smiles, reveling in the knowledge that they defended you in the shadows, that they saw your worth before the tides turned. "Look at me," they silently boast, their egos swelling, as if their secret allegiance makes them untouchable, better than the rest. Yet, even in their pride, there's a flicker of insecurity, a subtle fear that their quiet loyalty might not be enough to set them apart in this unfolding drama. The irony is sharp. Those who once prided themselves on staying hidden now crave recognition just as desperately as the others claw for your attention. Amidst the spectacle of egos clashing and alliances crumbling, there are those who stand smugly on the sidelines, wrapped in their own sense of righteousness, as if their perceived moral high ground elevates them above the chaos. But even as the dust swirls around you, the message is clear. Stay grounded, stay wise. You're being called to observe, not engage, to see through the noise and recognize the truth beneath the surface. Guard your energy fiercely, and remember that trust is a sacred currency, not to be given lightly or without proof. Respect can be extended as a courtesy, a gesture of grace, but trust, that's earned through the consistency of actions, not the sweetness of words. In this storm of revelations and intentions, let your discernment be your shield, and your boundaries your refuge. As this surge of energy crescendos, you'll find yourself surrounded by waves of people, some familiar, many strangers, drawn to you like moths to a flame. Offers of love and devotion will come pouring in, some sincere, others drenched in desperation, with individuals abandoning all pride in their scramble to be near your light. It's as though a veil has been lifted, and suddenly, the radiance of your essence, the divinity they once ignored or failed to comprehend, is now blindingly obvious. Strangers may pause, captivated, recognizing something in you they can't quite articulate but are compelled to honor. And yet, you'll feel the echoes of those who once sought to suppress this light, who schemed to distort or replicate it through manipulation and darker means. But their efforts have failed. Your brilliance cannot be mirrored or diminished. This is your moment to stand firm, to shine unapologetically, and to let the world see you for who you truly are. The energy you've poured out into the world is returning to you in waves, magnified, purified, and brimming with momentum. This is the timeline of expansion, where everything is accelerating and the balance is shifting in your favor. What's most ironic is the sudden shift in the demeanor of those who once stood against you. Now they approach with hesitant smiles and outstretched hands, eager to tie up loose ends and leave things on a good note. Some will bare their souls, offering glimpses of their vulnerability, almost pleading for your acknowledgement. Look, I'm just like you. I've struggled too. I've felt too. These moments of confession aren't just an attempt at reconciliation. They're a testament to the doors that have opened wide for you, the very ones they tried to seal shut. Their actions underscore the undeniable truth. Your light has broken through, and no force can dim it now. The irony is almost poetic. The same people who worked tirelessly to shut you out, to block your path, were the ones most captivated by you all along. Their obsession was carefully masked by layers of hostility, hate, judgment, condescension, all elaborate shields to hide the truth they refused to confront. They buried their longing for you deep beneath their negativity, cocooned in a circle of like-minded enablers who echoed and amplified their illusions. Together, they created a fragile bubble of denial, convinced they could live indefinitely without ever facing the mirror of their own desires. But what they failed to see is that your light was always shielded, always protected. And once the universe decided to guard you, their illusions were destined to crumble. Their masks are slipping now, and the truth they worked so hard to suppress is rising to the surface, undeniable and unrelenting. There is no undoing divine protection. Once it's granted, it's eternal, unchanging, unwavering, and immune to anything or anyone who dares to challenge it. This protection is a shield that no shadow can penetrate, no matter how fiercely it tries to latch on. Their attempts to send negativity your way, to distort your sense of self, to plant seeds of doubt in your mind, were futile from the start. They poured their energy into breaking you, waiting patiently for the cracks to form, for the weight of their projections to shatter your foundation. But what they couldn't see, what they refused to believe, was that their efforts were never going to work. Their shadows had no place to settle, no power to dim a light that is divinely guarded. Their frustration is the result of realizing too late that they were battling against something far greater than themselves, an unyielding, sacred force that has always been in your corner. Now they're restless, caught in the grip of their own crumbling illusions. The facade they've upheld for so long is wearing thin, and the desperation is palpable. Their so-called leaders whisper hollow reassurances, urging them to hold on just a little longer. It's all part of the plan. The ritual will work. You just need patience. Maybe we need to tweak it, try another angle, adjust the approach, but it will work. And yet, deep down, even they are beginning to feel the futility of their efforts. The cracks are showing, not in you, but in their faith in this endless cycle of schemes and manipulation. They cling to their old patterns, hoping against hope for a breakthrough that will never come, unwilling to admit that they've been fighting a battle they were destined to lose. The process they so desperately believe in is nothing more than a stalling tactic, a last-ditch attempt to deny the reality that your protection is unshakable and their time is up. In this endless cycle of schemes and waiting, the cracks in their resolve are growing wider. The restlessness is no longer just about their failing efforts, it's about the uncomfortable truths they can no longer ignore. They're beginning to see themselves clearly, stripped of the masks they've worn for so long. The questions they once buried deep, the ones they avoided at all costs, are now surfacing with relentless force. And those questions all lead back to you. You were the mirror they never wanted to look into, the trigger that exposed their deepest insecurities, their unfulfilled potential, and the life they secretly longed for, but were too afraid to claim. In your light, they saw everything they could be, but also everything they weren't ready to face. Now, the reflection is unavoidable, and the more they resist it, the more it consumes them. Now, the questions claw at them, refusing to be silenced, louder and more relentless with each passing day. Why does their presence linger in my mind, no matter how hard I try to forget? Why does their growth make me feel so small? Why does their light expose the shadows I've worked so hard to hide? Why does their very existence feel like a challenge to everything I thought I knew about myself? These questions, once buried beneath pride and denial, now erupt with an intensity they can't escape. They should have faced these truths long ago, but fear kept them locked away, convinced that ignoring the answers would make them disappear. Now there's no running, no hiding. The answers are staring back, demanding to be felt, demanding to be understood, and demanding to be reckoned with. As you ascend, their descent becomes inevitable, a spiral they can no longer control. The shadows they once wielded as weapons against you now envelop them, growing heavier with every attempt to extinguish your brilliance. They believed that by silencing your light, they could avoid confronting the void within themselves. But divine protection has never been a battlefield where darkness triumphs. Your light was never theirs to diminish. Instead, it thrives in defiance of their efforts, radiating with even greater intensity. It illuminates everything around you, drawing others closer, revealing truth, and forcing them to confront the uncomfortable reality they've tried so hard to avoid. Their shadows were never strong enough to obscure the power of your light. The fragile alliance they once shared, built on their collective disdain for your light, has crumbled into chaos. No longer united, they now claw at each other, driven by a desperate need to win even the faintest trace of your recognition. Deep down, they've come to understand the brutal truth. They never stood a chance. Not in this lifetime, not in any lifetime. You would sooner watch the world unravel than compromise your worth for the shallow, distorted version of love they offer. And yet, their desperation blinds them. They're willing to grasp at anything, no matter how small. A fleeting glance, a passing thought, even the faintest acknowledgement that they exist in your orbit. The hunger for even the most distant connection with you consumes them, their longing so raw it's almost tangible. But the more they reach, the further you ascend, leaving them behind in the shadows of their own making.